What if the future was not full of shining cities, flying cars, and human progress, but silence, fear, and the slow death of everything we once believed in? Tonight, inside the dark quiet of the dark library, we open an old, forgotten book. The candles are low. Rain taps against the tall windows. Somewhere beyond the shelves, the wind moves like a whisper through history. And on the desk before us lies one of the most haunting science fiction stories ever written, The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. This is not just a story about a man who travels through time. It is a warning. It is a mirror. It asks a question that still follows us today. What happens when human beings chase progress, comfort, power, and pleasure, but forget what makes us human? H.G. Wells wrote The Time Machine in the late 19th century, a time when people believed the future would be brighter, smarter, and more advanced. Machines were changing the world. Science was breaking old limits. Cities were growing. Industry was rising. Many people believed humanity was climbing higher and higher, like a ladder reaching toward heaven. But Wells looked at that dream and asked something darker. What if progress does not always save us? What if comfort makes us weak? What if inequality does not disappear but becomes something monstrous? What if the future is not hope, but the final result of every mistake we refuse to fix? Our story begins not in the future, but in a warm room in Victorian England. A group of educated men sit together after dinner. There is food on the table, wine in the glasses, and smoke curling in the air. These are men of reason, men who believe in facts, science, logic, and civilization. They talk like people who think the world can be understood if only you are clever enough. And among them sits a strange man known simply as the Time Traveler. He is brilliant, restless, and a little mysterious. His eyes carry the look of someone who has spent too many nights thinking about impossible things. He is not satisfied with ordinary life. He does not want to merely read history or imagine the future. He wants to step outside the present and move through time as easily as another man crosses a street. In that room, he explains an idea that sounds impossible. He says time is not just something that passes. It is a direction. Like length, width, and height, time is another dimension. If a person could move through space, why not through time? Why should yesterday be unreachable? Why should tomorrow be locked away? The men listen, amused and doubtful. Some think he is joking. Some think he has gone too far into theory. But the Time Traveler does not argue like a dreamer. He speaks like a man who has already built the door. Then he shows them a small model machine. It is delicate, strange, and beautiful, with shining parts that seem almost alive under the lamplight. He touches it, adjusts it, and in a moment that freezes the room, the tiny machine disappears. The guests are shocked. One moment it is there, the next it is gone. Was it a trick, a clever illusion, a magician's game for educated men? The room becomes unsettled. The Time Traveler smiles, but there is something serious behind his smile. He is not entertaining them. He is preparing them. Because somewhere in his laboratory, larger and more dangerous than the model, stands the real machine. This is the first warning of the story. Every great invention begins as a question, but not every question should be answered without fear. The Time Traveler is not evil. He is curious. And curiosity is one of humanity's greatest gifts. It gave us medicine, machines, maps, and stars. But curiosity without humility can become a dangerous hunger. It can make a man open a door without asking what may be waiting on the other side. Days later, the guests gather again. But this time, the Time Traveler arrives late. He is not dressed like a man returning from an ordinary errand. He is pale, exhausted, dirty, and shaken. His clothes are torn. His face looks older in a way that has nothing to do with years. His body has returned to the room, but part of his mind is still far away. The men stare at him. The room becomes quiet. Then the Time Traveler begins to tell them what happened. He says he entered his laboratory and sat inside the great machine. Around him were the levers, the polished metal, the strange arrangement of science and madness. He knew that one touch could push him beyond the present. He knew he might never return, but the hunger to know was stronger than fear. He pulled the lever. At first, the world around him trembled, the laboratory blurred. The walls seemed to melt into shadow. Day and night began to flash past like a storm of light and darkness. The sun raced across the sky. The moon spun in its path. Seasons changed in seconds. Plants grew, bloomed, withered, and vanished. The house around him shifted and faded. Buildings rose and fell. The world became a rushing river, and he was no longer standing on the bank. He was inside the current. Imagine that feeling. Not moving through a road, not flying through the sky, but watching time itself break open around you. The things we think are solid, the rooms we trust, the cities we build, the lives we protect, all become temporary. A house becomes dust. A generation becomes a flicker. A century becomes a breath. This moment is terrifying because it reminds us of something we try not to think about. We live as if our problems are permanent, as if our names, homes, and victories will last forever. But time is always moving. It does not hate us. It does not love us. It simply passes. The time traveler continues forward, faster and faster, until at last he stops in the far future. The year is 802,701. He lands in a strange garden under a soft sky. The air is warm. The world is quiet. Great buildings stand in the distance, worn but beautiful, like the remains of a civilization that has forgotten why it built them. Flowers grow everywhere. Trees bend gently in the wind. At first, the future looks peaceful. It looks like humanity has finally escaped struggle. Then he sees the people. They are small, delicate, and beautiful in a childlike way. They move softly. They laugh easily. They seem gentle and harmless. They wear simple clothing. They live among ruins and gardens, eating fruit, playing in the daylight, and showing no real fear of strangers. These people are called the Eloi. At first, the time traveler thinks he has found paradise. Perhaps this is what humanity became after solving every problem. No war, no hunger, no hard labor, no violence, a world of peace and beauty. But paradise begins to feel strange. The Eloi are friendly, but they are not wise. They are sweet, but they are weak. They do not seem curious. They do not ask deep questions. They do not build. They do not study. They do not remember much. They live in the present moment like children in an endless afternoon. And slowly, the time traveler begins to feel disappointed. He expected the future human race to be powerful, intelligent, and noble. He expected minds greater than his own. Instead, he finds people who have become soft, careless, and almost empty. This is one of the darkest ideas in the story. Wells asks us to imagine that comfort can become a cage. A society that removes every struggle may also remove strength. A person who never has to think, work, resist, or choose may slowly lose the ability to do those things. The Eloi are not evil. That is what makes them sad. They are innocent, but they are also diminished. In modern life, we can understand this fear. We have more comfort than many people in history could ever imagine. We can talk across oceans. Food arrives at our doors. Entertainment fills every silent moment. Machines remember things for us. Screens guide us, distract us, and soothe us. But the question remains, are we becoming wiser or only more comfortable? Are we using progress to grow stronger or to avoid the pain of thinking? The time traveler soon discovers that the future garden hides a terrible secret. His machine is gone. The machine that carried him into the future has vanished from the spot where it landed. Without it, he is trapped nearly 800,000 years away from home. Every person he has known is dead. Every street he walked has disappeared. The language of his world is gone. His country, his house, his friends, his entire century have become less than dust. For the first time, the time traveler is not a master of science. He is a lost man. He searches in panic. He questions the Eloi, but they cannot help him. They seem frightened by his intensity. They do not understand urgency. They do not understand machines. He realizes he is alone among the descendants of humanity, and yet no one truly understands him. That loneliness is one of the most painful parts of the story. The time traveler wanted to see the future, but he did not understand the cost. To travel too far ahead is to become a ghost. You may stand among people, but you belong nowhere. You may hear voices, but no one speaks your world. Then he notices something else. Across the landscape stand large bronze doors or strange structures leading underground. He also sees wells or openings, dark and deep, with air rising from below. From those depths comes the sound of machinery. The world above is gentle and lazy, but somewhere beneath the surface, something is still working. At first, he does not understand. Then he sees them. In the darkness, pale shapes move. They are not alloy. They are smaller, uglier, and stronger in a different way. Their skin is pale from living away from the sun. Their eyes are large and sensitive to light. They move like creatures that belong to tunnels, machines, and night. These beings are called the Morlocks. The time traveler's first theory begins to change. Humanity has not become one peaceful race. It has split into two. Above ground live the alloy, soft children of comfort and sunlight. Below ground live the Morlocks, workers of darkness, tending machines beneath the earth. The old divisions of rich and poor, powerful and powerless, comfortable and exploited did not vanish. They grew deeper. Over ages, society separated so completely that humanity became two different kinds of beings. This is where the story becomes more than science fiction. It becomes a warning about inequality. Wells looked at the world around him, a world of wealthy people above and exhausted workers below, and he imagined what could happen if that division continued for thousands of generations. The result was not harmony. It was horror. And then comes the most disturbing discovery. The Morlocks do not simply serve the alloy. They feed on them. The beautiful garden is not paradise. It is a pasture. The alloy are not kings. They are cattle. Their comfort has made them helpless, and the creatures below have become their hidden masters. Think about the cruelty of that reversal. The people who once lived above may have depended on those below. Over centuries, dependency became weakness. The workers in darkness became the ones with power, but that power did not become justice. It became revenge, hunger, and control. The future is not hope, because humanity did not heal its moral wounds. It only carried them forward until they changed shape. During his time among the alloy, the time traveler meets one small figure who touches his heart. Her name is Weena. She is gentle, trusting, and afraid of the dark. He saves her from danger near the water, and after that, she follows him with simple devotion. She gives him flowers. She stays near him. She becomes his only friend in that strange future world. Weena is important because she brings emotion into the cold machinery of the story. The time traveler is a man of science, but Weena reminds him that the future is not just ideas and theories. It is living beings who can suffer, fear, trust, and love. In her small kindness, he sees the last fragile beauty of humanity. Sometimes one gentle soul can make a broken world feel worth saving. But even with Weena beside him, danger grows. The Morlocks come out at night. The alloy fear the darkness for a reason they barely understand. The time traveler realizes that light is his greatest weapon. Fire, matches, and brightness can push the Morlocks back. So he begins searching for tools, knowledge, and a way to recover his machine. He discovers that his time machine has been hidden inside a great stone structure. The Morlocks have taken it. They may not understand everything about it, but they know it matters to him. They have trapped him in their world, and they are waiting. The time traveler decides he needs supplies. He and Weena journey across the strange future land to a ruined museum-like building, a place that once held the achievements of civilization. He finds remains of science, weapons, old exhibits, broken knowledge, and memories of humanity's greatness. But most of it is useless now. The great treasures of the past have decayed. The tools are broken. The labels are meaningless. The proud achievements of mankind are silent behind dust. This is one of the saddest images in the story. A museum in the far future should be a place of memory, but here it feels like a tomb. All our inventions, our discoveries, our battles, our pride, our libraries, our machines, one day they may become objects no one understands. And this makes the reader ask a hard question. What do we really leave behind? Is it buildings? Is it technology? Is it names carved into stone? Or is it the kind of humanity we teach the next generation to carry? The time traveler finds matches and a kind of weapon. He feels stronger now. He believes he has a chance. But night comes, and with it comes the Morlocks. In the forest, darkness closes around him and Weena. The Morlocks gather. Pale hands reach from the blackness. Their eyes shine in the shadows. The time traveler tries to fight them off with fire. Flames spread. The forest becomes chaos. Smoke and fear fill the night. He is surrounded by creatures from beneath the earth, creatures that are still human and yet seem to have forgotten mercy. In the confusion, Weena is lost. The story does not turn her loss into a loud scene. That is what makes it hurt more. She simply disappears into the horror of the night. The time traveler cannot save her. The small, gentle being who trusted him is gone. This moment carries a painful lesson. Intelligence does not always protect innocence. Courage does not always prevent loss. Sometimes the world is so broken that even the brave arrive too late. And the time traveler, for all his science, for all his boldness, cannot protect the one person in the future who gave him love without calculation. After surviving the night, he returns to the place where his machine is hidden. The great doors are open. It looks like an invitation, but he understands it is probably a trap. Still, he has no choice. Without the machine, he belongs to that future forever, so he enters the dark structure. Inside, the Morlocks close in. He reaches the machine. He climbs onto it. Hands grab at him. The darkness fills with movement. In that terrible moment, he fights not for discovery, not for glory, but for escape. He pulls the lever. The world vanishes again. Time rushes around him. The Morlocks disappear. The future garden, the alloy, the forest, the ruins, the fear, all fall behind. But instead of going home immediately, the time traveler continues forward. He goes even further, beyond the age of the alloy and Morlocks, beyond human history, beyond almost everything recognizable. And what he sees is even colder. He travels to a future where Earth is dying. The sun is larger, redder, weaker in its warmth. The sky feels strange. The air seems thinner, heavier, older. The world is no longer a garden. It is a lonely shore under a tired sun. Strange creatures move near the water, huge and alien, like life has continued but not in any form that cares about mankind. Humanity is gone. Not changed, not divided, gone. The time traveler sees that even the great story of humans is only one chapter in the much larger story of Earth. We build cities and empires. We fight for money, power, fame, attention, and control. We act as if the universe is watching us. But the universe may simply continue after us, silent and indifferent. He travels even further to a world near its end. The sun is dim. The cold is deep. The movements of life are slow and strange. The planet feels abandoned. At last, the future is not a kingdom or a warning society. It is the edge of extinction. This is the deepest horror of the time machine. Not monsters, not darkness, not the Morlocks. The deepest horror is the realization that progress does not guarantee meaning. Time does not promise rescue. The future is not required to honor our hopes. For modern viewers, this thought feels powerful because we also live with future fear. We worry about technology moving faster than wisdom. We worry about climate, loneliness, war, artificial intelligence, inequality, and whether human beings can control what they create. We dream of better futures, but we also fear that our choices today may build a tomorrow we do not want to live in. The time traveler finally turns back. He returns through the storm of years to his own time, to his own room, to the dinner guests waiting in the ordinary world. He arrives broken, dirty, hungry, and changed. He tells his story, but the men do not fully believe him. How could they? They are sitting in comfort, surrounded by lamps and furniture, wine and conversation. The future he describes feels too strange, too terrible, too far away. And that is another painful truth. Warnings often sound unbelievable to people who are still comfortable. A man can return from the edge of disaster, but if the room is warm and the dinner is served, others may smile and call it imagination. The time traveler shows them small signs, small pieces of evidence, but doubt remains. Some of the guests think he is a genius. Some think he is mad. Some are not sure what to think. The story leaves us with uncertainty, and that uncertainty makes it stronger. Because the real question is not whether every detail can be proven. The real question is whether the warning should be ignored. The next day, the narrator sees the time traveler again. The machine is ready. The time traveler is preparing for another journey. He says he will return soon. But he does not. He vanishes into time. No one knows where he went. Perhaps he returned to the future to understand more. Perhaps he searched for another age, a better age, a time where humanity had found wisdom. Perhaps he went backward into the past. Perhaps he became lost between centuries. Perhaps the machine failed. Perhaps he discovered something even more terrible than before. The empty space he leaves behind is haunting. It feels like the silence after a door closes forever. And now, as the candle burns low in the dark library, we are left with the meaning of his journey. The time machine is not only about time travel, it is about the moral direction of humanity. It asks whether intelligence without compassion can save us. It asks whether comfort without responsibility can make us weak. It asks whether progress without justice can turn people into monsters above ground and monsters below ground. The Eloi and the Morlocks are not just future creatures, they are symbols inside us. Part of us wants comfort without effort. Part of us wants pleasure without duty. That is the Eloi within humanity. But another part of us grows bitter in darkness. It resents, consumes, and waits for revenge. That is the Morlock within humanity. A healthy society must not allow either side to become the whole story. We need comfort, but not weakness. We need work, but not cruelty. We need technology, but not worship of machines. We need ambition, but not pride. We need curiosity, but also humility. The time traveler thought he was going to see the triumph of mankind. Instead, he saw the cost of forgetting the soul. And maybe that is why this old book still matters, because every generation believes it is modern. Every generation thinks it understands more than the one before it. But the future is not built by technology alone. It is built by choices, by how we treat the weak, by what we do with power, by whether we raise children to think, feel, work, and care, by whether we remember that comfort is not the same as goodness. Imagine standing beside the time traveler as he looks at that dying earth under that cold red sun. Imagine the silence. No laughter, no cities, no voices calling from windows, no books being opened, no songs, no prayers, no arguments, no hope of rescue, only time moving forward. That vision is frightening, but it also gives us a strange gift. It tells us that the present matters. If the future can become dark, then what we do now is not small. Kindness matters, wisdom matters, courage matters, justice matters. The way we build our world matters. The way we use our machines matters. The way we handle comfort, fear, pride, and ambition matters. The time traveler saw the future, and it was not hope. But we are not standing in that future yet. We are here in the uncertain present, while the candle still burns, while the book is still open, while the next page has not been written. And maybe that is the final lesson hidden inside this dark old story. The future is not something we simply arrive at. It is something we are making, quietly, every day. So ask yourself tonight, before you leave the dark library, what kind of future are we building? Are we building a world of wisdom or only comfort? Are we building a world of justice or only power? Are we becoming more human or less? The time traveler disappeared into the unknown, and perhaps he never found the answer. But his warning remains with us, like a voice echoing through a long hallway of time. A machine may carry a man into the future, but only the soul can decide whether that future is worth reaching. If you want the next forgotten classic story, subscribe and enter the dark library again.